guys, this is dclaiche, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 14, Episode 4, 73 Yards. This episode made me think that I may have to go back and reconsider a couple of my main criticisms of the previous episode, Boom, which, if you guys remember that review, my main criticism was just, we've seen all of this before. There's so many things here that are just copies from other episodes. There's nothing here that's really unique, which is what I expected from a Stephen Moffat episode, was something unique, something brand new, something that shakes you up to your very core, and we just didn't get that with that episode. This episode, however, 73 Yards, kind of does a decent amount of the same thing. I mean, for goodness sake, a lot of these episodes are kind of doing things that we've seen before. It's kind of difficult to make a brand new, just everything is completely unknown, and you don't understand any of it. But I still do really like this episode. In fact, I would say this episode, episode 4, is probably my new favorite. It is officially beat The Devil's Cord. This is my new favorite Doctor Who episode of this series. I just found the whole thing to be incredibly riveting, and it's just like Doctor Light episodes tend to do that. They have a history of doing that anyway. You've got episodes like Blink and a whole bunch of other ones, and it's like, you know, these episodes allow us to be able to, you know, look more at the companion themselves or a side character. And sort of tell its own unique story that doesn't necessarily follow the whole Doctor Who format of, oh, the Doctor shows up on a planet and stuff happens and the Doctor leaves, and it allows the writers to do stuff that's a lot more creative. And I already kind of knew that this episode would be pretty different, given the fact that they completely skipped over the title sequence. They didn't do the title sequence at all. They just had the Doctor show up, and it had Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. The credits at the very beginning that they usually do during the title sequence, and they skipped it entirely. So that kind of told me immediately, like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting one, and it was. The whole episode kind of has a really uncanny feeling to it, which of course starts off with the whole fairy circle. The Doctor steps on it and then disappears for we still don't know why. And then, of course, you've got the appearance of what I'm going to call the Semper Distance woman, who's always at a distance of approximately 73 yards away from Ruby at all times. Anytime she moves closer, she moves away. Anytime she moves further away, she moves closer. So, yeah, that's the Semper Distance lady. She's creepy, she's weird, you can't really make her out entirely. So yeah, she's got major unknown vibes going on with her. And then, of course, you've got the fact that every time somebody actually does approach the Semper Distance lady, they immediately run away, and they also sort of completely disassociate themselves with Ruby. They become scared of Ruby for whatever reason. So that's another thing that makes this episode creepy. And then, of course, you've got the climax of what I'm calling Act 1, the creepy section of this episode, which is the Welsh pub scene, which utilizes to very, very great effect the sort of very tight, close to the face camera shots of all the characters, and they're looking straight into the camera as they're talking to each other. It kind of has sort of a Silence of the Lamb type of vibes, which is just really creepy. And then everybody's talking about all these legend things, the fairy circle and Mad Jack, and if that thing's its herald, then what have you done? What have you done? And then it's all revealed that they were kind of joking with her, except this lady is still dangerous-ish? Can she be counted as dangerous? Maybe. So that's sort of the first act. The first act is sort of setting up the main antagonist of the entire episode. Whereas the second act is just, we're going to break your heart into a billion pieces as we watch Ruby's stepmother abandon her entirely whenever she walks up to the Semper Distance lady. Unit, which they're supposed to be trained against, like, psychic attacks and whatnot, but yet they fall prey to this thing and they abandon Ruby. And then you watch Ruby essentially just grow old alone, not really able to find anybody to settle down with because she's always distant. She's always distracted by, obviously, the Semper Distance lady. And this, again, is another particular trope that Doctor Who has used before, the whole idea of, like, the companion sort of being separated from the Doctor for whatever reason, and then you watch them sort of slowly grow older over the course of time without the Doctor, or they're in some sort of perilous situation without the Doctor for an extended period of time. It's usually a pretty heartbreaking sort of scenario, so this episode uses that to very great effect. So we get the idea that whoever this old woman is, she, for some reason, is causing everybody to just completely distrust Ruby, and I think that this, mixed with the fact that the second to last episode is going to be called The Legend of Ruby Sunday, that this foretells that there's something different about Ruby, something interesting about Ruby. And of course, we've seen, clues of this in all the other episodes. For some reason, Ruby's able to make it snow in a lot of places. And the Maestro was also terrified of her because she was like, wait, hold on a second. The one who waits was there at your birth. Like, he's not supposed to be there. What's going on? So you also get a little bit more look into the fabled one who waits. I also wanted to point out a connection between something that everybody does whenever they run into the Semper Distance lady and what the Celestial Toymaker said he did whenever he encountered the one who waits. He said, I ran away. That's somebody else's game. Meanwhile, everybody else, when they run into the Semper Distance lady, they all run away. That is their first instinct. They all just completely run away. So that sort of makes me ask the question, so is this lady the one who waits? Like, what is this? And we don't get an answer to that question. This whole episode is sort of meant to tell a very tragic story, yes, but it's also it is an overarching plot story. It's not a story that stands on its own. Finally, the third act introduces Mad Jack, who is a scary dude in his own right. And I would really like to know, why does this guy feel the need to throw nukes all over the place? Like, what is it about? Is that just something that happens to Welsh people where, growing up in good old Wales and you just think, I'd really like to gain control over Europe and then blow up everybody with nukes? Like, I don't really get why he wanted to do that. But he's a very good example provided to us by Doctor Who that sometimes even normal humans can be exceedingly terrifying monsters. I also really love the little moment where Jack gets really, really close to Ruby, and you can tell that Ruby is incredibly uncomfortable. You kind of see the subtle little expression of disgust and recoil on Ruby's face. I thought that was excellently acted out by Millie Gibson. Just really, really like that. And of course, the resolution to the conflict is rather satisfying. Ruby uses the Semper Distance lady to essentially scare off Roger Ap William and make him completely give up being Prime Minister. And you don't know why he decided to give up. All you know is that he talked to the Semper Distance lady, and something that she said scared the living daylights out of him, and so now he's gone. And then there's the ending, and the ending just left me with more questions than answers. So the Semper Distance lady is apparently revealed to be an older Ruby who is sent back in time in order to stop the Doctor from stepping on the fairy circle. Which, okay, first of all, how does older Ruby appear to herself in the, I'm assuming, hospital bed or room or whatever? How is she able to travel back in time to warn herself not to step on the fairy circle? Why does the message on the scrolls of the fairy circle mention Mad Jack, a character who's not going to be relevant for another 22 years? Why does the Doctor disappear whenever Ruby reads the scrolls? Did he run away? If so, why did he leave the TARDIS? Did he lock himself inside the TARDIS or something like that? Does a timeline where Ruby spent her entire life alone just kind of cancel out turn left style? Like how does that work? What is the semper distance woman, old Ruby or whatever, saying to make people so terrified of her? Presumably, it's not just that, hey, I'm the future version of that girl over there. Is she somehow revealing that she is the fabled one who waits? Is Ruby the one who waits? All of these questions we're left with, and it just makes me really, really, really excited to see the rest of this series. I mean, it's this is gonna be good. Whatever this is, it's gonna be really good. RTD said that episode 4 of this series was quite possibly one of the greatest things that he has ever created, and I gotta say, I agree with him. This episode will no doubt go down in history as an absolute fan favorite among Doctor Who fans. Anyways, that is all I have to say about this episode. I'm very much looking forward to the next episode, which will be called Dot and Bubble, which seems to have a pretty interesting concept behind it. Sort of the whole, I've heard some people compare it to Black Mirror. I've never seen Black Mirror. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please come back next time for another video for you from me. And this is dclaiche saying goodbye.